Hello, everybody, and I'm back for another chapter of Allies. I hope you guys are enjoying this book. We're actually about midway through it, and I'm a little bit worried how far we're going to get with the remainder of the school year, but we're going to keep plugging through, and wherever we end, we will tell you how you can get a hold of the book so you can finish it in case we don't get to it together. All right, today's chapter is entitled Goldilocks and the Two Canadians. From where James hid, he could see the German headquarters in Verville. It was located inside a fancy chateau on the edge of town. The large house was white with tall windows and a steep slate gray roof. Three smaller buildings of white and gray stone, miniature versions of the chateau, sat nestled up against its sides like puppies sleeping around their mother. The house was at the far end of a long paved driveway lined with trees. Much closer was a yellow brick gatehouse that would have easily passed for a mansion back in Winnipeg. Major McLeod signaled for James and Sam to go into the yellow gatehouse with two other soldiers to check it out. The place was silent as a grave, and when James and Sam came through the front door, Bren guns at the ready, they understood why. The gatehouse was being used as barracks, with every inch of space taken up by bunk beds. Every single one of the beds had recently been slept in, but was now empty. Somebody's been sleeping in my bed, Papa Bear, Sam said. 96 somebodies, James said. There were 8 rooms and 6 double bunks to a room, and not one Goldilocks in the building. From a second floor window, James and Sam could see the German defensive position. The Nazis were set up in a long trench on the other side of the lawn near the house. The trench was reinforced with dirt and concrete, as was a large bunker that might have been a command post. Machine gun bays stood along the length of the trench. James could even see some of the Germans' round gray helmets moving back and forth through a narrow slit in the front of the bunker. He huffed. Besides almost killing the Canadian paratroopers, the British bombing had evidently awakened the sleeping Germans and put them on the defensive. James and Sam shared a knowing look. A full frontal assault on the Nazis now would be a suicide mission. Luckily, Major McLeod seemed to agree. 96 empty beds means 96 enemy soldiers, the major said when they told him their news. That's almost 5 times more men than we have. We'll have to try to draw them out. Major McLeod arranged most of the soldiers as best he could behind a low wall and a shallow ditch near the gatehouse facing the chateau. The small Canadian troop was now in a line parallel to the Germans, separated by the long, flat grass lawn. The major kept a small group that included James and Sam with him at the gatehouse. All right, let's just hope that they haven't seen us yet, the major said. Boom! The wooden gate that blocked the driveway exploded in a blizzard of splinters. No one was killed, but the explosion knocked everyone standing to the ground. Good Lord, they've got a heavy gun, Major McLeod said. Yeah, and they've seen us, James said silently. That command post he'd seen, the one with the reinforced concrete bunker and the narrow slit in the front, that must be where the big gun lived. The Nazis in the trench began firing their rifles and machine guns, and the Canadians answered back with what they could from their hiding places. It was a full on battle now. Pass the word for the soldier with the Piat, the major said. We'll try to get a bead on the German's big gun from the second floor of the gatehouse. You and you, he nodded at James and Sam, guard the downstairs doors. Major McLeod hurried upstairs with 3 other soldiers, including the corporal with the Piat, while James and Sam took up defensive positions on either side of the first floor. Moments later, James heard the distinctive shunk of the British anti-tank weapon being fired from a second floor window, and he took a peek outside. The Piat bomb landed with a boom, kicking up smoke and sod, but it fell too short to do any damage to the German gun or any of the Nazi soldiers in the trench. James cursed, but he knew the corporal with the Piat would be saying much worse right now as he hurried to reload and try again. Cracoom! The second floor of the gatehouse exploded, buckling the ceiling above James. He ducked and staggered outside, where dust and debris were still settling. Broken glass and pieces of brick crunched under his boots. He looked up. The roof was still on the gatehouse, but the second floor was a smoking hole. The German gun had scored a direct hit on the building, but the same shell that destroyed the gate isn't nearly powerful enough to do that, James thought. And then he realized the shell must have hit the corporal's extra Piat rounds, and that's what had caused the huge explosion. The corporal? The major? James hurried back inside, but Sam met him coming out. Sam shook his head. Don't, James. They're all dead. Okay, guys, that's the end of that quick chapter of Allies. Hope you like what you're hearing. A lot of action today. Don't forget, watch previous chapters over here. Subscribe to our channels. We'll catch you with the next chapter in a couple of days. Do all your homework today, too.